Oh,
Hey MJ.
okay, so let's do this today. Okay, let's go through your project. So, other than Cooper Vision, right? Let's go through the resourcing and how you're managing it.
Right. So I have Noel. So
Okay.
In Noel, Deepak is more involved. I mean, he is doing most of the requirement analysis and solutioning, and then
Mhm.
if there is a legwork that needs to be done, I mean ETL loads or any like activity, then Sarat Potnuri from offshore, he does that work. So the both of the Deepak and Sarath look at the UBA side, I mean the analytics side, and then
Mhm.
Kondiparthi, he looks at the Noetics view side.
Okay.
So on the Noetics view side, I'm not at all involved. Like most of the requests, I just do a postman job. If it comes to me, like I just defer it to Sarath. If Sarath has any questions, if he needs me to involve or escalate, then I get involved. I mean, not escalate or just relay, then I just like forward those emails. With Deepak,
Why do those emails even come to you?
uh,
Because you can be copied, but why is it not directly getting marked to Sarath?
most of them gets marked to Sarath. Sometimes it comes to me because they seem to like look at me as a project manager. So they just like ask me if I know of anything, and I just defer it to Sarath.
Okay.
And then Deepak comes to me like because he's still ramping up. If he has any like a functional question, then he comes to me. Otherwise, he does by himself.
But what about meetings? This week itself, I saw you like twice. You have said you have meetings with them. So,
Right.
what is that meeting about?
So those were like um, so what the first meeting was the um, they were looking for the architecture. So yesterday like they were looking at architecture on like what all places where um, the the whole Noetex architecture is involved. So that's where like since Deepak does not have that much of visibility, I was involved in that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the only other meeting that I attend and like now I am involving Deepak to more attend is daily huddle that happens at 8:30. So that's just like a stand up for the day's work. It does not finish the whole half an hour. It's only 15-20 minutes of an activity. That's where Deepak is also involved in that. But yeah, I attend every meeting.
So, has anything changed in the last 2 weeks since we talked?
Deepak picks up the tab. I just say, join there if there is anything which is only specific to me in terms of like the whole design level.
Correct, no, understand. But what I'm saying, what has anything changed in the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, I mean Deepak is doing most of the legwork. I don't. Even the production migration was done by Deepak.
Yeah. How many hours did you spend last week on Node?
Effectively, effectively, I spent around like 10 hours, 10 hours or a little less.
So that is 2 hours every day.
Yeah.
And what is that going towards every day? 2 hours.
So like some of them are just looking at what is going to happen and then working with Deepak to um, him to coordinate. So if he has questions, then I tell him like this is where he needs to go and do. And then attending like so that is 50% and 50% is just attending call. So the morning call and then any like follow up call that happen through the day.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
So that
Okay,
is
what is happening on Big?
big. I am barely involved. The whole last week I was. not involved at all, other than just sending out the final status report to Kumar, so that he can add it to the overall status report. Yeah, and then one thing was that informing Duane that Swami is rolling off from this week. So those are the only two activities where I was involved at big.
Okay, so what is happening in big?
So big, the report development is going on the ETL side. There are the incremental loads are working in production. It's taking some time, so there are some optimization which I'm going to take the help of Sarat Potnuri to optimize those.
So, so is the system in production right now?
Yes, it's working. It's daily there are loads happening without any without any involvement.
And who's using it right now?
Nobody is using it right now. In There was a communication that Duane is slowly going to transition, like not critical reports directly into production. If Kumar sends out the report that the data matches from his validation side, those reports will go into production without going through the full UAT.
Hmm. And what is happening on the Tableau issue?
Tableau issue, Kumar is working with Duane, and Duane is has the tickets open with um Tableau and Microsoft Azure to troubleshoot that.
So what was Swami doing in that process then? I saw a couple of emails from Swami.
So, so while Duane was working with the Microsoft team, so the Microsoft team came back and said that there are something, the utilization, memory utilization is high. So Duane asked whether we can reduce the max memory utilization, which Swami responded.
Hmm.
So they are still troubleshooting. They are just like sending darts in like dark, like trying to figure out whether something would stick or not.
So the memory question that Swami responded, was that memory being used by the Analytics software?
No, no, it was SQL Server that was using
So SQL Server, what? SQL Server,
the
so
database
is that
instance.
where our data warehouse is?
Yeah, our data warehouse instance.
So it becomes, essentially is the Analytics SQL Server, right?
Yeah.
So, so his reply was essentially me saying that is how SQL Server will store. So I was not convinced with that response. Is that the correct response? Do we know if it is SQL Server? It looks like as if we were washing our hand off the problem.
I like I did not understand your question, MJ. Like we are not washing our hands, so
No, see, okay, you were saying that this is the response, right? Did you see the response?
yeah.
So what did you make out of his response? So what are we saying? So there is an issue going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what is that we are supposed to be doing? What is your assessment of this problem?
So what Duane is doing is that like we are having issues on the reporting side where there are connection errors. Duane has created a ticket with Tableau and Microsoft Azure to troubleshoot those errors. So
Mm-hmm.
while Duane was working with Microsoft Azure to troubleshoot this, they analyzed the Azure SQL Server instance, and they came up with this analysis that the memory utilization of the SQL Server instance of the Noetics Analytics is high. And then they asked was that whether we can reduce that and see if that helps with the trouble and see if that helps with the uh, it if it fixes the connection errors that we have been seeing on the Tableau side.
Okay, so what did we then? Are we able to reduce it, the SQL Server memory usage?
Yeah, we can reduce the SQL Server memory usage.
So did we reduce it?
We reduced it. Swami reduced it.
So what happened after that?
They are still working. Like they still have the. Today also there was a working session between Kumar, Sarath, Duane, Microsoft team.
Were you in that meeting?
I was not there in the meeting. Duane asked like who all would need to be in. I just forwarded it to Kumar and Sarath.
Hmm. So what is this processor, SQL Server Windows NT 64-bit, which is using 58 GB of memory?
So just like you, we have Oracle database instance. We have a SQL Server instance, which is the database, like the engine. So
Mhm.
by default, the database engine uses up like uses up the entire memory. It does not mean that at any point, like when we are running the query, it is using the entire memory. What it does is that it runs the query, sees how much of that query cursor can be put it in the memory versus how many of that needs to have a disk IO, and then optimizes that. That's why it uses the entire memory that is available. We can count then. This is the default nature of a SQL Server database. We can we can change that to
But he's
have.
saying that, oh, hold on, but he's saying this is happening even when the query is not run. He's saying this is every time.
Yeah, so the database engine will take up all the available memory and it will keep it in it with itself. If the system needs more memory to do something, it will release part of that memory. But this operating system, this SQL server, the Windows server operating system does not have any other application than this SQL server instance. So it uses all the entire available memory and it keeps it with itself. Now out of that 58 GB of the space that it is using, like it has put it is in its bucket. Now it can choose, like if there are 10 queries running, it can choose, okay, this one chooses only needs only 1 GB, so it will only allocate 1 GB to that query, but it will still keep the remaining memory with itself. If there is any other program that needs it, it will release it.
That's a default behavior of SQL Server.
That is a default behavior of SQL server.
Okay. So what is where is the ball on this issue right now?
The ball is still with, like, Duane is still working with Microsoft and Azure to figure out um, um, what is the resolution, because the memory utilization is low,
Mhm.
and now they are still trying to figure out why we are still getting the error.
Is the guy Sarah Potulari?
Yeah, that is Sarath Potnuri.
Okay. Okay, so let's go back to this. And this is big graphic. So you're saying in big graphic, your involvement is controlled now.
Yeah.
Okay, so David Yellman is so David Yellman. I think what we'll do is we'll change it to once Funny joins, right?
Mm-hmm.
We'll change it to him. So let's make sure that Funny comes. We'll change it to him.
Yeah, I mean, Funny has a so Patrick, the new BI director, he is back. So and
Mhm.
Funny already has a good working relationship with
Okay.
Patrick.
Yeah. So the actual plan is for Noel. It